Okay, folks, good morning and welcome to our Defence Force talk. A little bit of housekeeping first. We are live streaming this, so when we get to the end and anyone wants to ask some questions, I'll ask you, if you do want to ask a question, to stand. I'll bring the microphone to you so that everybody right around the world can hear your question and Si's answer. It's now my pleasure to introduce Sergeant Si Holland.
Thank you. Rightio, ladies and gents. First off, thanks for coming in to this presentation. If you haven't been there already, we do have our stand out here, stand number 4. I have Candy with me as well. She's also from the Defence Force recruiting in Maroochydore, so she can provide you more information. There's expression of interest there. Be aware though, that's not a contract within the Defence Force. What it enables you to do or to have is that one-on-one exposure with a Defence Force member. So they'll call you up within a few days for any follow-up questions you may have after today's presentation, or you might have just came up with after today as well. They can also assist you with the application process. That was a big one. So when you get a chance, head out there, have a chat to Candy, have a chat to myself, grab some brochures, there's merchandise there, and complete that expression of interest if you want assistance or further questioning. Get straight into the presentation. So that is me up there. I'm a sergeant in the Royal Australian Air Force. I've been in for over 20 years as a airfield defence guard. Right? So it's a combat role within the Air Force. So my main job role is to make sure that airfield is clear and secure before our airframes can land. Okay, so that airframe up there is a F-35. It's worth about $90 million. So it's very important to make sure that our airfield is clear and secure before it can land. Part of my job role is I go away a fair bit, deployed overseas. I do a lot of field activities, okay, providing that security. So I only just got back last year from deployment over in the Middle East. But I've been overseas, deployed in operational environment 5 times in total, 3 times in the Middle East, once in the Afghanistan, and also once in East Timor. So a highlight of my career, I suppose, when it comes to deployment is the 2 photos up there. That was in Afghanistan. So we were there and we didn't have another rotation replacing us. So we had to hand that security job role back over to the Afghan security forces. So it was a good exposure, good experience for myself to do that as well. Like I said, if we're not overseas deployed, we did a lot of field activities, and a bit like the infantry as well, they do a lot of field activities to maintain our skill sets, okay? So this one here is probably the highlight when it comes to field activities. That one there is taken in New South Wales in Singleton. And that week, what we had to do is play enemy for the commandos. So their job for that week is to navigate and patrol without being detected by the enemy, which was us. So that whole week, we just made life hell for those commandos so they couldn't achieve their objectives to those nav points. What I'll finish up though on my personal slide about myself is why I joined. The reason I joined is I had a Defence Force recruiter presenting at my school. I was in year 12 at the time. At that stage, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I could have went to university, I could have completed a TAFE course, I could have worked somewhere local. But the 2 big things that really stood out to me when he presented was the benefits, and the 2 benefits were sports. I love my sports. If you're any good at your sports and you can represent within that sport, you get to actually go out there and compete. And that's the big thing that came out of that. And the other benefit as well was for me is the travel. Now with the travel, it's not just all those deployment travels. I'm talking places like Vegas, Seattle, Hawaii, trips like that, going over there and doing major field exercises, but having that downtime as well to do a bit of sightseeing. So they're the 2 things I loved about it, out of his presentation, was the sports and be able to travel overseas for free, which I did. So what does the ADF do? Right, so we've got, at the moment, we've got COVID. Anyone here can give me an example of what happened last year where ADF was assisting in some sort of domestic or international emergencies? Back in the last year in December? Yeah, bushfires, perfect. Yeah, bushfires. What about 2011? What happened in 2011? Yeah, floods, Queensland floods. So you look up here, yeah, we do respond to local and international emergencies. If you go back, I think it's about 10 years ago, when Philippines had their typhoon, we went over there and assisted in that as well. And all those natural disasters over the Pacific Islands, we're always over there assisting after the natural disasters they have there occurring. We're part of International Coalition Forces. Like I said in my piece there, I've been overseas about 5 times, deployed over there. So we're part of that coalition forces, and we do deploy overseas throughout your career. Defend Australian borders. So you look at the Navy, okay, doing the Op Resolute. So their job role is to patrol our northern waters there, just making sure there's no illegal activities occurring there. And they've been doing that for some time now, and that will remain in the future as well, that operation. And continue to provide security to Australians' immediate neighbourhoods. So things like Fiji, Papua New Guinea, East Timor, we do have an element of ADF members there providing that security. So benefits. Like I stated in my piece, the 2 main reasons I joined was the travel. I stated, yeah, I've been to probably every major city within Australia through courses, conducting field exercises, or overseas doing those major exercises like I spoke about. So I've been places like Vietnam as well, Guam, places like that. So they're not really your operational deployment environments. They're those real good countries where you want to go over there and do a bit of sightseeing, and there is time for that as well once you've completed your field exercises. Sports, so an example there, I've got a friend, she's in the Air Force, her main job role is admin. Not this year though when it comes to snowboarding, but past years she competes in snowboarding. So throughout the whole year, she just chases the snow seasons overseas and competes in that. But her main job role is admin within the Air Force. So to be honest, she's a paid athlete. That's all she does throughout the year is chases the snow and competes in snowboarding. So be aware that if you love your sports and you do representative sports, it's a big thing within ADF and they do support that. Mateship, if you have a chat to past defence members, current defence members, they'll tell you about this mateship that lasts for a lifetime. Right, throughout your career, you do a lot of courses, you get posted to different locations, but those people you do meet, they do last for a lifetime. People overseas as well, when you're deployed over there. I've got mates in the States where I can ring up and have a beer with them, and I've got a roof over my head as well. Anywhere throughout Australia, same thing. I could ring them up and, hey, listen, I'm in town and we'll catch up for a beer. And again, I've got a roof over my head. So that mateship does last for a lifetime. When it comes to skills, this is a big one. So our skills that you get through ADF, they are transferable over to the civilian sector. So if you decide after, say, 4 to 5 years, you've completed your ADF career, you can utilise those skill sets, RPL those skill sets, and throw them on your resume and apply for management leadership roles or whatever it may be throughout your civilian career after the completed of your ADF career. So be aware of that. All of these skill sets are transferable over to civilian sector. Benefits, a lot of benefits. I can't go through all the benefits, but the big ones is free medical and free dental. So example of the medical one there is 2013, I snapped my Achilles tendon playing football and going through the process of seeing a specialist, getting the operation done as well, and the physio or the rehab that comes with that. I don't know how much that would have cost out in the civilian world, but that was all free, all taken care of. Right? So as a defence member, a full-time member, you're required to do an annual dental and health check. Right? So you'll go in there and get everything checked out so you are deployable at short notice. So anything that requires dental treatment work or any medical requirements that you need to deal with, that's provided and it's all free. Other benefits as well, there's financial benefits when it comes to Defence Housing Authority. So they can provide you with rental assistance. They'll provide you your movements as well from different postings, which is all covered for, incidentals as well. If you're married, there's financial benefits there as well. So for myself, I'm unaccompanied, which means my family is currently on the other side of Brisbane and I live over in Maroochydore. Okay, so you do get moved around a fair bit, but for personal circumstances, they can't move because my wife's job. So Defence will pay my rent for me. okay? Noting that, I have a mortgage to pay on the other side, so they'll pay my rent for me. They'll pay my electricity as well, up to a certain cap, and I haven't been over that as well. They'll pay for my grocery allowance as well. So Defence understands the stresses that come along with you posted away from your family, that they'll provide financial support in regards to that. And a few other benefits as well, but we'll be here all day, so come and see us over at stand 4 there with myself and Candy, and we'll provide you those benefits if you're interested. ADF careers, how many jobs do you think there are in the Defence Force? Roughly. About 250, about 250 plus jobs. Okay, the best way to explain that, think of a small community. Right, so think of Maryborough. Within that small community, you've got your council workers, okay, your local government officials, you've got your restaurants, you've got your firefighters, you've got your paramedics, and you've got your police force, law enforcement, okay? All those jobs you have within your community. ADF have the same thing. We have all those jobs. Okay, the only difference is we're there to support operational capability. Okay, it could be aircrafts, it could be Navy vessels, it could be vehicles. So we're there to support ADF capabilities. That's the only major difference when it comes to what job roles do we have compared to civilian world. We have all of them. ADF employment conditions. This list here is what separates us from the civilian world, some of these components. So no gender restrictions on combat roles. Great initiative to have. Back in my days when I joined up, being a combat role, a bit like the infantry in the army, females couldn't join. Now they could. So it's a great initiative to have. They offer a different perspective when it comes to that job role. So that's good that they changed the policy on that. Weapons training. So be aware, it doesn't matter if it's a combat role or non-combat role, you are required to learn the in-service weapon at the time. Unrestricted service. This is what really separates us from the civilian job roles. All right? So what that means is you might be posted between 3 to 4 years out of that location to another location. Couple of reasons. Again, it's career progression. So you're always learning something new. You never maintain those skill sets. In the ADF, you're always doing different courses, leadership courses. Could be due to the fact of the equipment or the capabilities changing as well. And the other reason is capability. So wherever that piece of equipment may move, may require you to move as well to support that capability. Deployed overseas in hostile environment. Right? So you might not be in a combat role. So you might be admin, you might be logistics, but be aware that you will be deployed overseas. It could be Afghanistan, it could be somewhere in the Middle East, but it might not be in that direct combat role though, but it's in that environment. Zero tolerance to drug use. So throughout your career, you will be subject to drug and alcohol testing. And basically it's one of the quickest ways to get kicked out of the Defence Force, or the quickest way to not even start your defence career. Tattoo and body embellishment. So this is a big policy, and when you go through your process in the recruiting process, they'll explain this a bit more in depth. But basically when it comes to tattoos, just no tattoos around the face area. So if you think about your passport photo, no tattoos around that area. Body embellishments, we're talking excessive piercings on the ear or modifications of the earlobe. But like I stated, when you go through your process, they'll explain a bit more in depth on what's required in regards to that policy. Right, doesn't matter what job role you do within the 3 services, you are required to have a security clearance. It's all different levels, but it's some sort of security clearance required. And you are required to provide a 10-year traceable history security clearance check to get that clearance. So avenues to entry. So this is, the best way to explain this is if you've got your general entries and you have your officer entry. So you think of a sporting team where you have your coaches and managers, they're your officer entry. So they're there to come up with a plan and come up with a, how are you going to do this type thing. Then you've got your general entry, they're your players. So they're your doers, they're your workers on the field, okay? So that's the best way to explain officer entry and general entry. So within the general entry, you've got your gap year program and you've got your non-tech roles and your technical roles. So non-tech roles, straight away at the completion of your training, you're looking at around about $63,000 for your salary. Key things to note here is your education eligibility requirements. Minimum requirement there is Year 10 passes in English and Maths. Right? And for your age requirement, 16.5 to apply. Just going on back onto the education requirements, say for instance you failed English in year 10, but you passed it in year 11. Okay, so that supersedes that policy there, but that is the minimum requirement, right? So that's where you've got to pass it there, but if you pass it later on in year 11, year 12, well, it supersedes that. Yeah, technical trade roles, so straight away, the completion of your training, you're looking around that 69, 70,000 per year, so it's not too bad. Again, with the education requirements there is a science component to it. Double check on defence jobs, some of it require physics, right? So it's not just science, it might say physics. So you jump on defence jobs, click on the tab when it comes to education requirements, and they'll let you know what you need to go for that job role. No change for the age requirement, 16.5 to apply. And trades and apprenticeships, so they're the ones we offer there. Again, if you're interested in a trade or apprenticeship, come and see us. We have brochures and that over there. The people out there on the virtual platform, you can jump on defence jobs. They go through all the bits and pieces in regards to those specific apprenticeships you can go for. Right, military training for your general entry roles. So they're the key components they cover off on. So basically what they're doing there is they're grabbing all the civilians from different walks of life and converting them into that military member. So across the three services, you'll be covering off weapons training, customs and traditions, military law, marching and drill, first aid, and physical fitness. So it depends what service you go to, but if you're going to go to the Army, you'll be headed towards Cerberus for 11 weeks, Navy, Cerberus for 11 weeks, Army Kapuka for 80 days, and Air Force 10.6 weeks at RAF Base Wagga. Off entry, like I said before, these are your managers, so your coaches of your sporting team. They're the ones that come up with the plan, so you guys go out there and execute whatever that plan may be. So a few avenues to entry here. You can go through ADVA, Australian Defence Force Academy, direct entry, or Defence University Scholarship, which we'll cover off now. So for your officer role, the pay is a little bit high. You are a manager, okay? They expect a bit more from you, being a supervisor, a manager, and a leader, and you'll have troops under you. So you're looking around about completion of training, around about $78,000, which is not too bad, all right? Key things to look at here is the education requirements as an officer. So Year 12 English plus 3 other authority subjects, the ATAR subjects, are required to be an officer. Age requirement 16.5 to apply, but if you are going for ADVA, it is 16. So ADVA, Australian Defence Force Academy. So this is a dual application process. So we work alongside University of New South Wales. So if you're going to go for a degree, you need to have a look at their websites to find out the required ATAR for that degree. And they're the degrees they offer there. When it comes to your defence careers, that goes through us, that process. So just be aware, like I said, it is a dual application process, and you need to have a look at University of New South Wales website to find out you have the required ATAR. Key things to look at here, 1 to 10 when it comes to teacher-student ratio, which is pretty good. So 1 teacher, 10 students. So if you have any issues throughout the class, it's pretty easy to ask the teacher. So all your university fees are covered. So I think if you have a chat to your parents that went to university, and they'll tell you that they had to have another job, on the side as well as studying. They're probably living off 2-minute noodles as well, because due to the job wasn't covering for it, and rent and all that bits and pieces. But at ADVA, you get your accommodation subsidised, you get food subsidised, you're getting paid while you're studying as well, so everything's covered for. And at the end of it, you get a job as well. So this just covers off again what I just stated. You need to complete your Year 12 and 3 other board registered subjects, which is your ATAR subjects there. Big thing is, I suppose, down the pay here, you're looking at between, whilst you're studying at ADVA, it's between 40 to 57,000, which is pretty good for a student, considering a majority of that time you are there studying. And once you're qualified, it's around about 78,000, 78,000. Defence University Scholarship. So this is offered to people that want to stay in location and want to, say, do a nursing degree. Right? So not all degrees are covered through ADFA. Some of those other degrees you may need to utilise this. But what this enables you to do, I suppose, is study in location. After your first year and you're passing all your subjects and you provided that and you applied for Defence University Scholarship, Defence may sponsor you, okay? And from there on, all your fees are paid for and you get those other benefits through, like you'd get as an ADF member. So your free healthcare, medical and dental, and again, you've got a salary there as well. So for undergrads, you're looking around about the 47,000, and for medical graduates, it's around about 66,000. So if there's anyone out there interested in that medical degree, this might be for you. So direct entry, no training, qualifications required. So example there, if you want to join the Air Force as a pilot, we don't expect you to go out there and get a degree in business or in arts, right? You can go in there, we'll teach you everything you need to know to get that job. What they do though is while you are in the service, you are required to get a degree, and they'll pay for that, and you'll get a degree throughout your career, which is good. So like your general entry, you're required to do a officer training throughout the different locations. Again, there's a few more leadership management roles up here. As a manager, as an officer, you're required to know these things. So a lot of those core subjects are covered off between the three services. So if you're looking at Navy, you'll be headed towards Creswell for 22 weeks, Army, Duntroon for 18 months, and Air Force Officer Training School for 18 weeks. Now with the Army, everybody, if you're considering Army, you think to yourself, oh, 18 months is a long time. Their training is done a bit differently. So you go there as a General Army officer and learn how to be an officer. Everybody will go there. Once you've completed that, then you go out to your chosen or core job, okay? So you go there to learn how to be an officer first, and then you'll go to your core position. So gap year, this is a good one. Things to note though for gap year is the age requirements, 18 to 24. It's a great initiative. So basically it's a try before you buy type of a scheme. It didn't have it back in my days, but I wouldn't have used it anyway because I love the Defence Force, so I'm here for over 20 years. But for those people that just want to test it out, it gives you that 12-month period to have a look at what they do within that job role. And after they complete that, your 12 months, you can apply and have a bigger career within the ADF. Education requirements, you've got to complete year 12, right? That's a big one, and also passes again in English and Maths for year 10. With this one here, Navy does it best because you actually don't go in there and just do that one specific job role like Air Force and Army do. With Navy, you actually go out and have a look at all the different job roles to have a look throughout that year. Army Reserves. Another good initiative, for instance, you do have that primary job role in the civilian sector, but want to serve in some sort of capacity within the ADF. This might be for you, and there is a depot out here in Maryborough. But basically, it's tax-free dollars. So every time you parade, that's tax-free. Depends what your pay bracket is. It could be 150, it could be 250 a day when you parade that day. It's a casual job, so minimum to maximum parading per financial year, you're looking at 20 to 150 days. Noting though that if you have a course or you're deployed overseas, there is possibility to deploy overseas. Those days can expand out from there. There are other benefits which is not covered up there. If you are interested, come and see us, but it's employer benefits. So if you parade 10 consecutive days, Defence or the government will pay your employer for those days you're away. Okay, so be aware there are employer benefits. Uniform and equipment is provided for, so everything you need to parade is all covered. Not only that though, say for instance you do this but don't have that primary job role, but just want to do this to stay in Maryborough, throw this on your resume. Right? Employers do look at this and they know, oh, okay, you have a defence background, because a lot of leadership training, management training, first aid training, you get through the ADF, employers do look at. Okay, and they understand, they know what they provide, ADF provide you, and they know that all those skill sets you can gain, or they can gain through their business. And these are the depots we do have around the place as well. So like I said, there's Maryborough, there's Bundaberg, Gympie, Yandina and Caboolture. So diversity pathway initiatives. So if you identify yourself as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, there are pathways initiatives out there, which is great. So ADF understands people do come from different walks of life and limited opportunities. So we've created these pathways to make sure that everybody's on that same playing field when it comes to career opportunities, especially in the ADF. So there's pathways up here. I'll just give a general overview. So if you're struggling with your English and maths, we can put you through TAFE to make sure you have those qualifications when it comes to education. If you're struggling with your resilience, confidence or fitness, there's a program there as well, okay? Other pathways we do have is women in defence. So recruit to area and recruit when ready. So recruit to area may be, what that is, for instance, if you want to be posted to a certain location because that's where your family's located, they can post you to the closest major base. Say for instance, if you want to join the Airforce and you have family in Brisbane, closest base there would be Amberley. So they can guarantee that first posting cycle will be the closest base to the area that you're required to go to. Recruitment ready. So if you decide you have a personal circumstance that doesn't allow you to conduct your ceremony on a certain date, you can push that out a bit so it suits you, suits your personal circumstances. And fit prep as well. That's also for males. So if you know that you're going to struggle with your fitness, you might need a bit of help with that. We can put you through this fit prep, a 7-week program, so you make sure that you are ready for that initial training. So physical fitness assessment. So this one here, you need to complete 6 weeks out prior to your enlistment date. So prior to you having your ceremony at our centre, then flying off to your recruit training. You do get a lot of practice runs prior to that, and it's up to you. We also remind you, hey, we're doing a practice one here, do it on 10. So I'd highly recommend you do roughly 3 to 4 of these before you actually do your proper one. Just in case you get there on the day and you don't pass it, you probably get another attempt, but you've got to remember you're 6 weeks out, you probably won't get too many attempts at passing this, and the next person behind you will get the job. Key thing with this one, 60% of the people do fail this throughout the application process. That's a big number, 60% of the people. What I will highlight though is just the Army standards. Even though you are going to go for, say, a Navy job or Air Force job, if you train for that Army standards, you'll pass the fitness test. So always train for the highest standards. So you look here, the push-ups component for males is 15, for females it's 8. Sit-ups is 45 across the board. The shuttle run or the beep test, 7.5. Right, so it's not a hard standard, but a lot of people just don't train for it and just assume they are ready, hence why they fail. But you get a lot of practice runs, and it's up to you to make those appointments. Come into our centre or ring up our centre, and we can book you in for a test. ADF Active app, great app. It's a free app. You can download it on both platforms, so your Android and your Apple. But what it does, it teaches from the lowest level of fitness up to the highest level of fitness, but it focuses on those 3 components, your push-ups, sit-ups and your beep test. So I highly recommend, even if you aren't thinking of joining the Defence Force but love your fitness, is download that app and test yourself. The recruiting process, so this is a big one. We'll really focus on the top component here, the U session. Okay, so first thing, how do I apply? A lot of people ask me, how do I do this? So you listening here, sitting here is probably the first step, to be honest. And the second step is, there's 2 ways of doing it. If you feel that expression of interest, someone will call you and they can help you do up your application. If you just want to do it straight away, you can jump on Defence Jobs. Within there, I think it's the top right, will have Start Application Now. Click on that and it's straightforward. First up, we'll have your email address. Put that in there, and from there, it will make you go through all the boxes and just follow the bouncing ball. You'll have your name, date of birth, phone number, and so on, just personal details, and just go through that checklist and complete that. At the completion of that, you'll get an email, an online aptitude test. Right? It's just a basic aptitude test conducted at home. Right? So it's at home, you receive that. It costs you 20 minutes of your time at home to do this aptitude test. Once you've completed that aptitude test, it will create a list of jobs, Navy, Army, Air Force, that you can potentially do. So that aptitude test is not a pass or fail, it's just to see what jobs you can potentially do within the ADF. From that list, you'll get a copy, we'll get a copy at the centre. Now that list is valid for 3 years, so if you decide, hey, I don't want to join now, you can join up 2 to 3 years later and take that out of your back pocket and give it a go for one of those job roles. So it's valid for 3 years. So you'll get an SMS message asking when's the best time for you to do a careers coach interview, again done over the phone. You reply that message, basically the person, a defence member, will contact you and they'll just talk about outstanding documents that are required of you if you haven't placed them up there already. Within your email, it'll tell you to put these documents up there, but they'll prompt you, hey, you're missing your driver's licence, you're missing your passport and so on, those documents. They'll talk about your job opportunity report, so those list of jobs you opened up after you completed your aptitude test. So they're going to ask you your motivations, your interests. You probably don't know what you're going to do at that stage, but you might have a general idea, but they can point you in the right direction. One of them might be for yourself, I want to join straight away. They can give you those priority job roles. Hey, they're joining up within 6 months. Or they could give you a time frame after a year, these job roles might open up and it might suit you. So they can give you all that information, and that's conducted during that careers coach phone call. So this whole part here is conducted at home and you're not committed to it to do anything, and it's valid up to 3 years. So I highly recommend I'll just jump on that and use that as your plan B. If your plan A when it comes to your civilian job role doesn't go through, you can rip that out and your plan B becomes your plan A. So once you've completed that, your careers coach is happy, you're happy, all the documents are uploaded onto your hub, then you'll move forward, okay? If additional testing is required, there's certain job roles that require another aptitude test because of that job role, you're required to come to our centre and complete that. We'll tell you about those job roles as well when we talk about your job opportunity report. Yeah, so once all your documents are uploaded, your careers coach is happy with your preferences, you're happy, then you'll go to an assessment day. All right, so in assessment days, there's 3 components. You'll have a medical, you have a psych, and you have your defence interviewed by a senior defence member like myself. Okay, so you go there, you're actually going for your job. So you're dressed to impress, you're going for your job role that you've chosen in your careers coach call. Make sure you bring all your original documents. They need to upload that, certify that as well. Prior to this interview though, we actually offer mentoring. So we actually give you mentoring of things you need to study up on, things they might ask you to best prepare you for this interview. So I'm not quite sure what other job roles out there that do that, but pretty much giving you the answer to say, hey, make sure you read up on this, look at these bits and pieces in regards to that job role. So giving you the answers to go for that job. If you're successful there, and it all depends as well, if you're going to go for officer and you've been recommended there, you have to sit our officer selection board. And again, we give you mentoring on what they could potentially ask you within that interview. So from there, you do your pre-entry fitness assessment. This is the one you need to do 6 weeks out prior to your enlistment date. Like I said before, we give you a lot of practice runs, and it's up to you as individuals to make those appointments. We'll offer some appointments for you as well to come down and do your practice test as well, but it's up to you as individuals to book in for that. Once you pass that, it's pretty much straightforward. Pathology, prelim security requirements, and then you go to your enlistment or appointment ceremony. But this bit up here, the U session, is highly recommend you do that. And how to apply. So that's our centre number up here, the 075459870000, or jump on defencejobs.gov.au, and from there you can do your application process as well. Are there any questions?
Must have done a great job, Si. No questions.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few of you out there prior to coming in here, but come and see us after this. Hopefully there's probably more questions you do have now, and just want to do it one-on-one, that's fine. But if you have any questions for the open forum, especially the guys out there on the virtual platform, it might be able to assist them, ask it here as well. No questions?
Okay, folks, thanks. A big round of applause for Si. Si, we've got a
sweet.
little present for you there. Because of the COVID rules, we're now going to ask you to exit out through the door. You can't go back out into the foyer again because the next lot are in. Thanks for your attention. Have a great day.